I'd like to turn now to Francis Donald's beautiful image of Virgo. It's extraordinary. We'll let Francis himself describe the significance of it. He's written a very illuminating text on this point, and I'll share parts of this with you and try to move back and forth from the image, from text to image and image to text. Okay. What Francis says here, let's see if I can. Virgo's roots go back to a time long before the Greeks knew her as the virgin goddess Artemis. Again, we see related to the moon. Even before ancient Egyptians worshipped her as Hathor, the habitation of the holy light. And indeed, the theme is about light growing within substance. Virgo comes to us, according to the Tibetan, quote, from an ancient Atlantean root name, which was applied to the mother principle in those far-off times. Esoteric Astrology 252, and we're speaking of millions of years ago, early Atlantean times, 12 million years ago, Middle Atlantean times, 8 million years ago. So we're talking about an antiquity which far transcends man's puny view of history. But even if we could stand in that long submerged temple of Lilith at the zenith of the Atlantean civilization, our penetration into Virgo's hoary past would have barely begun. Going deeper into her origins would take us back into the night of time, back to Lemuria, through the time of the egg-born, one of the earliest of the races, pre-individualized races, then across worlds to the moon chain and on back through schemes, through chains of world cycles, back even through the pralaya that separates this solar system from the last. Finally, in the darkest depths of the past, before the sons of God were known, in a time when Mother, Matter, and Holy Spirit reign supreme, we may begin to find the source of Virgo. And what Francis is referring to is the previous solar system. And we are told that in this previous solar system, it was Virgo that ruled the second part of that solar system, with Cancer ruling the first part. We'll just take in this image. I wish I could leave it on the screen, but the text is also on the computer and no printer available to me, so we will do the best that we can. In this image, Virgo sits within the lunar arc, her ancient home and symbol, revealing to us the light of the world. They are both the Christ and the Buddha, saying they are the light of the world. From the source of non-being, represented here by the vase, and let's look at that. Here it is, the source of non-being, what Blavatsky calls the absolute, or beingness, as she calls it, beingness. From the source of non-being, represented here by the vase, she has taken the seed of that light into herself. This is the meaning of the moon-veiling Vulcan. Vulcan has a tremendous capacity for generating brilliant light, and for countless eons has nourished it in the womb of substance. This is the macrocosmic view of Virgo. On our world, in our world and in our era, she is Eve, Isis, and Mary, the triple integrated form nature, the third aspect of divinity whose sole purpose, quote, is to shield, nurture, and finally reveal the hidden spiritual reality. Okay, now here are Francis's descriptions of his visual metaphors. Let's take a look at the image again. We see the form of the arc-like moon. We see the robes of Virgo, which will be likened to the sea. We see the vase. We see the mudra that the Virgin Goddess is conveying. We see the pendants here from her necklace. We see the great moon face of the goddess, which Francis will describe, and we see in the head center a circle, which will be described momentarily. Virgo's form. The figure portrayed here represents the moon as esoteric ruler of Virgo. The poise and grace of her moon-faced appearance, suggest form in its most radiant and evolved state, for she is revealing a light hidden for eons, and is thus expressing her highest and final purpose. And this is so in the case of microcosmic evolution as well, because for millions of years, this light implanted by the solar angels is virtually hidden until it comes to its full fruition during the initiatory phase of man. The sweeping lines of her clothing mirror the primordial sea over which she reigns. Take a look there. The sweeping lines of her clothing mirror the primordial sea over which she reigns. Echoing these curves, mudra-like, the yin-yang position of her hands implies the nature of her revelatory gesture. The brilliant blue light of devotion radiates from her core. In both cases, Virgo is ruled by the second and sixth ray, both of them expressing through the color blue, one through the color indigo, and the sixth ray through the color light blue. The brilliant blue light of devotion. Virgo rules that plane on which are found the lords of ceaseless persevering devotion, the devoted monads who descend on their pilgrimage to redeem matter, again ruled by Virgo. From her necklace hang 3 pendants, indicating that she exemplifies the third aspect of divinity, and here they are, the 3 pendants. Okay, the vase here represents the womb of the Virgin, which is both the womb of time and of substance itself. It is the inner root of outer space. That's a beautiful phrase, the inner root of outer space. And he says the Great Bear, the starry prototypes of our planetary logoi. So there he's coming down into our cosmos system, but from a certain point of view, the connection is with Mula Prakriti, the great and ultimate Virgin Mother. All manifestation is a function of Virgo. It is through her nurture and sustenance that light emerges from darkness, whether it is the spark of light, Christ in you, the hope of glory, nurtured in the womb of the threefold personality, or a cosmic entity nurtured in the womb of the 3 lower cosmic planes. And indeed, we can think of our solar logos and other equivalent beings being nurtured by the great constellation Virgo. And there are no doubt higher prototypes to Virgo which nurture still greater beings. These beings have to be brought into form, and the light has to grow, the light of consciousness has to grow within them. Okay, going on. So revelation is bursting forth on the systemic stage, etc. We have a beautiful statement of Mercury. We'll send this to you concerning the revelation of wisdom. Mercury stands for the mediator, etc. I will send this to you so you can read in greater detail. Yes, this is brilliantly said. When this triumph of consciousness sweeps through humanity, when through the 4th ray of mediation of Mercury, the 4th kingdom of nature redeems the 4th ray, lunar substance of the personality, in this 4th world period, the ranks of the hierarchy, which is the 4th chakra of the planetary logos, will swell, thus moving that great being whose terrestrial form is here shown in the pre-dawn shadow, one step closer to becoming a sacred planet. Okay. The pre-dawn shadow. There's so much contained in this symbol. It's well worth the study. Then comes an inclusion of a statement by E. Valentia Straighten, which you can read, and also by Edward Keneally. It's from this marvelous book called The Celestial Ship of the North. The symbols of the feminine principle are typified by the oval as the cup, a boat, or moon. She is the ark, that ancient argha, that floated over the celestial waters of the abyss, that place of spiritual birth and rebirth, of emergence into immortality. And then we will go down and we will find the place. Yes, there's so much here. It's I will encourage you to read this. We will conclude with, let's see, the geometry. Yes, the disc with a central point within the figure's headdress, we should mention this, represents Virgo's esoteric ruler, which is Vulcan, veiled by the moon. And if you look closely at it, it's almost as if you see a kind of V, and you see these calipers or compass that indicates creation, or thus it seems to me in any case. Light and dark are here reversed from the way this symbol is usually depicted, thus emphasizing that Vulcan is one with the sun, veiled by the darkened lunar disk or substantive realm. Okay, so now we will close. Francis has included a number of statements by the Tibetan. Virgo symbolizes depth, darkness, quiet, and warmth. It is the valley of deep experience wherein secrets are discovered and eventually brought to light. It is the place of slow, gentle, yet powerful crises and periodic developments which take place in the dark and yet lead to light. And particularly this final sentence, Francis would like to be read. Ponder upon the beauty in this synthesis and teaching, and know that you yourself, that is, you yourself as a monad, have said the first word, which appeared as the soul, have said the first word as the soul, descending into the womb of time and space in a far and distant past. The time has now come when you can, if you so choose, proclaim your true identity with both divine aspects, matter and spirit, and the Mother and the Christ. So Virgo is a sign of extraordinary depth. It represents the poles of spirit and matter, the monad and root substance. It also represents soul and personality. It is a sign in which not only can duality be united in the human experience, but all three aspects, the triplicity, united into one until one realizes oneself as the monad and ultimately, I believe, as spirit matter, which is a state preceding the division of spirit from matter. So, though an ancient sign, it is a sign of the reunion of all the aspects of the human being and of greater beings. It is a sign of synthesis, material, consciousness, and spirit synthesis. So we thank Francis for this beautiful image, which deserves our continual study, and also of his text, which contains far more than I can at the moment bring before us. But this will be sent to you, and you will be able to study this.